Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you for tuning in today. So today, I think, is a day of reflection. 24 years ago, 9/11 happened, and it changed the baseline of how we feel safe in this country, and I think around the world. We all held our breath as we watched those planes crash into the towers. We were filled with shock and fear and uncertainty and didn't know if things would ever get back to normal again. It was just such a traumatic and upsetting day. And then yesterday, and I'm sure by now everyone's heard this, but I'm just going to say it out loud anyway. You know, political activist Charlie Kirk was assassinated at a rally in Utah. And a bullet went through his neck, and they got him to the hospital, but there really wasn't that much hope. They still don't have the gunner, and it's an ongoing investigation. And the part of it that is so sad is, for me, is I don't understand why. I can think of a whole giant list of political figures that you would maybe want to go after, you know, if you're so inclined to do. But, you know, he just talked about stuff, and he wasn't really a rabble rouser in that way. Not that I necessarily agree with everything he had to say, but he seemed harmless, you know, and from what I understand, he was a devout Christian. And so he wasn't going to do anything bad or hurtful or mean to anybody. But the level of sadness that I'm feeling, and yesterday was terrible, this morning wasn't very good either. But the level of sadness that I'm feeling leads me to believe that the country, not just me, is in mourning. You know, and again, I struggle to understand why. But when things like this happens, we sit there and we stop and say to ourselves, what's going on and why is all of this happening? And this disruption in who we are and what we're thinking in our forward progress opens up the doors to a new reality, a new paradigm that is coming upon us. Now, some people chalk this up to the blood moon that happened on Sunday, September 7th, which was a total eclipse of the moon. And so ancient people saw eclipses, don't touch the computer, saw eclipses as a dramatic happening, something dramatic happening in the sky. And it's like our life force is passing through, and as if the life force passing through our chakras is being renewed. The moon was in Pisces, and it was opposed to the sun, which is in Virgo. And whenever there's an opposition going on, you know, that always creates some kind of tension. And so tied to this blood moon, you know, a lunar eclipse is always tied to upheavals and change and get rid of anything that's outdated. It's transformative, and it's a time of recalibration. You know, expect endings and closures and new doors opening. And so there was an article, you know, this was not what I was planning on talking about, but at the same time of all of this, there was an article that was written by Renette Sinham, and she posted it on Substack. And so this was her observation of the upheaval that we're experiencing since this blood moon, which was on Sunday. And so I guess on Saturday, I'm going to start in the US. On Saturday, there was that woman who was stabbed in the neck on a subway. Just random attack. There was somebody, I heard this at the chiropractor, that somebody was beheaded in Dallas yesterday. There was a shooting in Colorado yesterday. Right now, the military base in Annapolis is on shutdown because there's been some kind of shooting going on there, but there really haven't been details released. I mean, it's just crazy, just crazy. But what she talked about in her article was not what was going on in the United States, but the crazy going on around the world. And I have this list, and you would think it would just be one or two things, but it's a lot. So in Nepal, the people have risen and they're getting rid of the old order. They've completely overthrown the government. They have burned down like the president's building and this palace and created a lot of destruction around that. And the prime minister has resigned and fled the country. In Israel, there was the bombing in Gaza near the Christian quarter of Gaza. And then this one kind of blew me away. They went and turned around and sent off a bomb in Qatar because they felt like there were Hamas leaders there. But Qatar is a totally different country. So how you can sit there and justify that, I have no idea. In France, the prime minister was outed with a vote of no confidence. In the UK, primarily in Northern Ireland, there were anti-immigration riots going on. So this is all like in the last few days. In Slovakia, the prime minister, they got rid of him because of his pro-Russian stance and his desire to pull out of NATO. In Serbia, protests for anti-corruption were going on with over 350,000 protesters in Belgrade alone. But wait, there's more. In Turkey, there were mass protests. In Hungary, Bulgaria, Chechnya, and Georgia, there were protests about corruption. In Japan, the prime minister resigned. In Thailand, the prime minister was removed from office. Now think about all of this happening all at the same time. So if you're feeling upset, if you're feeling unsettled, if you're feeling ungrounded, if you're feeling sad, then you're in good company like me because you are in resonance with the energy that's going on the planet right now. So breathe, nurture yourself, surrender to the fact that what you're feeling is you being sensitive, and don't be upset by it because it will pass. Now, pass into what? I don't really know. I can only send out blessings and light out into the universe and hope that that's the direction that all of this negative, unsettling dynamics brings it to the surface so that it can be eliminated and we can recreate ourselves. I mean, I don't know about you, but the last few days have been kind of challenging and kind of hard. Anyway, so if this has been challenging for you and you need somebody to talk to, please do reach out to me at my website, soulhealer.com. That's soulhealer.com, and set up a time for a private consultation. This show is also brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, where you can learn to become a medical intuitive counselor, or certified energy medicine practitioner. And you can go to the page and, oh, what the heck? This is acting squirrely. There you go. You can go to the page, appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, and download my free 50-page Jumpstart Your Intuition guide and get started on your path to opening yourself up to psychic information. And please do follow me on social media, YouTube, Substack, Twitter, Rumble. Follow me, like me, subscribe, set up notifications. I have been kind of a writing fool lately, and have published a bunch of articles that are now available on soulhealer.com under the healthy living section. I'm working on a new one right now about COVID, and the things that I'm uncovering that no one has ever talked about have been kind of mind blowing. So I'm really excited to be working on this and being able to bring it to the forefront. Okay, so wow, I thought I was going to be like talking forever, but I'm not. Anyway, so I'm just going to go say hi to everybody and start doing readings, and we're going to get this party started. Okay, so the first up today is Unar, and she says, "Good evening, Dr. Rita. Hope I'm not too early. Couldn't help myself. May I have a 2, please?" And you sure can. Okay. Ooh, Unar, that's your card. Let's see. I'm going to go with that. That's not too bad. Just one down. So Unar, I mean, I feel like you've really been affected by the energy going on around us, you know, and so if you think it is you that is being impacted, it's not just you, it's everybody. It's everybody. I do want to validate that you have been very good at working with your tools and very good at accepting, surrendering to the vibration that you're in and not fighting it, not getting upset at yourself, not anything. You're just kind of like, wow, I'm in a weird space. And so sometimes just being neutral to how we feel is the healthy thing to do and the healthy place to be in. So good job. Good job. Okay, let's see. Hi, Yvonne. And she says, "Can I get a reading number 2? You sure can." All right, hang on. I got something chiming here. Mute. Mute. Why does everything have to get your attention? Send you 500 notifications. Send it to your phone. Send it here. Send it there. Like, I don't care. I'm going to look at it when I'm going to look at it. All right, number 2 for Yvonne. All right. Okay, and that's your card for today. Interesting. So Yvonne, I get the impression that something broke loose for you, and I'm feeling like you are sensing a direction in which to go. My commentary on it is that it is not you trying to force it. I feel like Spirit did bring this to you. I feel like you don't really know all of the pieces to it yet. You know, I don't know if what you're looking at seems hard to you or challenging, but if you just break it down step by step, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do today? That you'll be able to break it down into pieces so that you'll be able to navigate yourself through this. When I'm feeling the kind of negative, uncertain energy on it, I'm feeling like that's your own ego getting in the way of this forward movement. I don't feel like this thing is your ego trying to make you move. I feel like your ego is actually, in this instance, creating the resistance. So let me know if that fits for you. I'd love to hear what's going on. All right, and Christine's here, and she said, "May I have a reading number 3?" And thank you. You sure can. Okay, Christine. And that's your card for today. So Christine, when I look at your energy, you just seem, and I'm going to say tired, like physically tired. Tomorrow's Friday. We have the weekend coming up. I'm hoping that you will take that time to rest. Okay. I also get the impression that some of this tiredness is coming from things that you're thinking about, things that I'm going to say you're worrying about, like pressure that you feel like you're under. So that might be something that you want to take a look at, take a step back from. Okay. When I look at your energy, like your energy in general, you're not seeming real grounded. And so I feel like things are kind of building up and pressuring up inside of you. And that's really adding to this whole thing. I hope that makes sense. Hi, Ahura. So Unar said, R.I.P. Charlie. Okay, so this is really bad, but I was like listening to the news last night and they did like the R.I.P. Charlie thing. And I just looked at the TV and went, sorry, Charlie. And then I laughed to myself because that was kind of funny. All right. Ahura says, good evening, dearest Dr. Rita. Finally, I could be here today to be grateful for being your presence and cherish the educational and healing gift of yours. Thank you. But you didn't say I had good hair, which is not that great today. May I have your insight on number 3? Thanks a lot. You sure can. Okay, so I can see below you, Ahura, that we have broke the sphincter in there, or gape, the sphincter. Anyway, Gabe, if you can give me a number between 1 and 3, and that's how many times I will shuffle the cards on your behalf, I would be very happy to give you a reading. Okay, and Ahura, this is your card for today. So, Ahura, I'm kind of feeling like you're going through a little bit of a dark night of the soul right now. I mean, I just sense, I don't even know how else to explain it, like darkness around you. It doesn't feel like bad darkness, and maybe darkness is not the right way to phrase it. I'm going to say an absence of light. So what they're suggesting to me to suggest to you is to use this time to just really work on yourself, nurture yourself. I feel like you are, sometimes the universe gives us tests, so we're going along and we're thinking really good. And then a situation is presented to us. A pretty significant situation is presented to us, and we're given a choice where we can respond to it using our old energy or our newfound tools. And if you use the newfound tools, you pass the test and you get to go through the door. Sometimes, however, as we're moving through that door, it presents itself as more of a dark night of the soul. And I feel like for you, that's how it's presenting it to itself, how it's presenting itself to you. But it's really asking you to get introspective and to look down deep as to what's going on and what's working for you and what's not working for you. And whatever's not working for you, throw it away. And whatever's working for you, keep that, hold on to it, shine that as the light. and have that guide you out of the darkness. All right. All right, so Amy is here, and she says, hi, Dr. Rita. Thank you for the talk about this tonight. Loved your latest article. Would love a number 3 reading tonight. Thank you. You're welcome, Amy. And thank you about the new article. So again, if you want to check out these articles I've written, soulhealer.com, and then under articles and healthy living. And actually, let's see. Articles, healthy living. So here are some of the titles. So this is the most recent one. Who Killed Alternative Medicine? The Shocking History of Healthcare in America. Natural remedies or synthetic cures. What are you putting into your body? And that's kind of what I talked about last week. Then there's the new arbiters of truth, how digital platforms and algorithms are rewriting reality. Are Big Pharma and Google suppressing alternative therapies and restricting our health choices? And Google's health heist, how big tech stole my voice and yours. And so these are all available on Substack, and you can subscribe to my Substack channel, where I'm Dr. Rita Louise on Substack, or you can go to my webpage and check it out there. And Amy, I don't know if I shuffled for you, so I'm just going to do 3 right now. I mean, because if you think about it, it's only been in recent years that alternative medicine has really made any kind of a comeback. It was so vilified, and all you can do is go to your doctor and be subject to whatever they wanted to give you, and you really didn't have any choice, and people are taking that choice back. Okay, Amy, that's your card for today. Okay, I'm not quite sure what this means. So what you're showing me is you like kind of going down this road, going down this tube, but it's like got these zigs and zags, and it's kind of all over the place. You know, almost like you're on an amusement park ride. Okay. But what's interesting is that you're on this ride and you have absolutely no idea where it's going, and it's kind of dark and a little spooky on some levels, but you're just going with it. And maybe that's the point I'm supposed to be bringing forward, is that you're just going with it, and there's not judgment on it about, oh, well, this is spooky, or oh, it's going too fast, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that, or maybe I should do this, or maybe I should do that. You just are on there. And you are not bracing for impact. You are allowing it to go wherever it wants to go, and you are just being the observer to this situation and waiting for it to land wherever it needs to land. And so I guess the operative word here for you would be you're trusting. You're trusting the process. You're trusting the universe. And you're not white knuckling this ride to wherever it's going to go. So, yay. You know, so there aren't too many people in here today, so I would love to hear some backstories, you guys. All right, hang on. All right, so gape the sphincter. You asked up here, but you responded twice, so I'm going to go and do you. So you picked a number 1, so I'm just going to shuffle your number 1 here, even though it comes up later in the list, because I'm being nice, because you're new. And welcome to the show, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you come back again. All right, Mr. or Mrs. Sphincter, that's your card. So I get the impression that there's something new in your life, and even potentially a new relationship possibility. I am feeling like it has raised your vibration. I feel like it feels good to you. All of this feels kind of new. I mean, my suggestion is just enjoy it. Don't read into it. Don't try to make it be what you think it should be. Don't run away from it. Don't be afraid of it. I feel like where it is right now just seems cool and calm and dynamic. And there's not any obstructions happening in the energy. And so whatever it is, go for it. Whatever it is, go for it. And then Unar says, another good reading. I can feel it. Thank you. I do see people that others can't. Have you ever seen Bigfoot? Never seen Bigfoot, because that would mean you had to go out in the woods, which I don't really do. And then the other thing is I've never seen a UFO. Ghosts, plenty. UFO, no. Bigfoot, definitely no. I mean, I've dated people that had big feet that you could maybe call Bigfoot, or hairy feet that you could maybe call them a Hobbit or Sasquatch. But yeah. Okay, and then Yvonne says, yes, had a breakthrough with creative project and moving forward step by step. Thank you. Yay, Yvonne. And Yvonne, the energy feels good. And you've been doing so good as far as allowing, and not trying to force it forward. And so, just keep me in your brain if you find yourself forcing it. And I'll be like, Yvonne, allow, and have that facial expression too. Allow. And then you'll laugh, and then you'll be like back in the present moment because I'll like totally shift the energy. Yay. All right. Christine says, reading definitely makes sense. Thank you. You're so welcome. And Dupree says, can I have a reading? You sure can, Dupree. You're another new name. Welcome to the show. All right. You said number 4. Okay. So I usually only go up to 3. So I'm going to do a 3 if that's okay. And let's just see what we get. But thank you for giving number. Okay, Dupree, that's your card for today. Okay, interesting. Okay, so Dupree, what you're showing me is I feel like there's this desire in you to create, so not like necessarily like art create. I think creating is anything, you organizing a closet is creating to me. Maybe not in a super fun way, but it's still creating. And I feel like there is this urge to create, but at the same time, you're showing me this kind of like weight in your stomach, in your 3rd chakra area. Now, if you were a writer, and I'm going to use that as an example, I would say that you were experiencing some kind of writer's block. Like you're sitting in front of the typewriter, but nothing's coming out. Okay. So, that stomach area is our 3rd chakra, and it has to do with our power and our ability to use our energy for ourselves and in relationship to other people. And I get the impression that there is this perception of time and how much time is it going to take, and do I have enough time, and it's going to take a lot of time, and I feel like that time insecurity, I guess would be a good way to say it, is what is keeping you, it's keeping it locked up. It's not free because there's a condition that you have set around it, which is keeping what you want to come out locked up inside. Let me know if that makes sense to you. And I hope that helps you move forward. And then Horace says, thanks again. Your insight was very much wise in relationship to my current emotional challenges. Cheers and blessings to you. You sure can. All right, another new name. Hey, Edna. Nice to meet you. And it says, hi, is it possible to get a reading number 2, please? And you sure can, Edna. All right, Edna, let's see what you got. All right, and that's your card for today. Okay, interesting. So the word that's coming up for me, for you, Edna, is stalemate. Because it's not quite stuck. I don't feel like you're stuck. I feel like you're in the energy right now, a situation right now where you don't want to go back. You don't want to retreat to where you were. But when you look forward, there's some definite fears about moving in that direction. I feel like there's a certain level of unknown to it. I guess the important part to me is for me to say to you that it's just fear. And sometimes you can just take that fear and move it over to the side and go, yeah, I'm scared. See, there's the scared part. So what do I need to do now? And what do I need to do next? I do feel like this is a certain amount of uncharted territory, but I get the impression that you're smart and you've figured other things out in the past. And so this shouldn't be such a giant obstacle, and maybe you're here just like really in this transition period. And that's why I'm picking it up that way. And it's interesting because I feel like once you take the first step, once you make some movement in that forward direction, it's just going to slide forward. It's just getting that momentum going. But I don't feel like it's going to take much to get that momentum going. All right, let's see. All right, well, Dupree, you got 3. Ha, ha, ha. So Edna says, my name is Rebecca, by the way. Well, hi, Rebecca. So when I was in college, okay, I guess the statute of limitations has definitely passed, but they used to send you, like, you would get a magazine, it would have a little card in there, and you could like sign up for a subscription for a magazine. And so I would get magazines, and the name that I would put on the card would be Edna Wessler. So I hear you, Rebecca. And Dupree says fear. That's what I was getting, Dupree. So I'm at the bottom of the list. So what do you guys think about what's going on the planet right now? Are you guys feeling the crazy? I know last week it was like it seemed like we were all in the same vibration. And now it just seems crazier and crazier. All right, and Amy says, yes, I am trusting myself and that the universe has my back. We are on a crazy ride. Definitely a crazy ride. I was talking to a friend of mine today. So I get to be like junior electrician. And I was like changing plugs today at my electrician friend's customer's house. That was not really fun. But we were talking about it, and I said, and they were going, well, when do you think it's going to change? I said, well, either a decision has to be made or we have to hit rock bottom before we're going to change, because we're people and that's what we do. We wait till we hit rock bottom. my fear and my concern is that we, I really don't want to have global annihilation for us to hit rock bottom and we start moving forward. My hope is that we can kind of pull it together, but I don't know. There's part of me that is just so not feeling that, and that this isn't the end. And I don't like thinking that, but it is what it is. All right. And then O'Hora says, I think it is World War number in its modern way. Kind of. And then Amy says, not sure how much of this is real. What do you mean by that, Amy? I'm just curious. And then Dupree says, the earth feels chaotic to me. Every day there is something new, some new big drama. Feels like a volcano ready to explode any day. So Dupree, if you had come on the show before, I've kind of talked about the energy on the planet, and I've joked around on the show about, it being crazy and having all of these things happening all at once, and things moving so fast. And I related the story that it was after one of those like big weeks, and I walk into the gym, and up on one of the screens in the gym was a volcano had erupted in Iceland, and it barely got any news coverage. And it was like, oh, and we have a volcano. And so even these days, having a volcano erupt, I mean, unless it's like Mount Vesuvius, where it engulfs multiple cities in a coating of ash, I don't think anybody would even notice it because there's just too much going on. Horace says too much individualism is the cancer of humanity. Yes and no. I think that there's a lot of ego. I think that we have a whole generation, spare the rod, spoil the child. We have this whole generation of very narcissistic, I don't really want to do anything, you need to take care of me, people who don't value integrity at all. I went and scheduled a massage therapy appointment with a new lady. Everybody on Facebook were like, oh, go to this lady. So I reached out to her on Facebook and scheduled an appointment, go for my appointment, and she's not there. She's homesick, doesn't contact me, not there. And so the owner called her, and that's how I found out she was sick. And she apologized on Facebook, and I said, hey, when you're better, just reach out to me. We'll reschedule. It's been 2 weeks. Haven't heard from her. I'm like, I can give my money to somebody else. I don't have to give it to you. So I don't understand people. I don't. But a lot of it has to do with ego, I think. All right. And then Amy says, a lot of the things we are seeing are clearly AI generated. I mean, there is definitely some stuff that's AI generated. There's a lot to sort through, and a lot of underlying secret, I'm going to say cabal things happening and power plays, which is why I didn't understand the Charlie Kirk thing. I really don't understand the big picture of things. I don't understand why him. I can think of a whole bunch of other people that on a list would be higher, unless they saw him as being kind of this virtuous guy and, we'll take him out too. I don't know. Don't get it. Lunar says, I'm afraid it will get even crazier. Icelanders like to picnic near the lava and take naked pictures. Well, okay. Well, people do that in Hawaii. They go and they hike up to the volcano, even if it's, just oozing lava out, just to see the oozing lava, which I kind of think would be kind of cool. All right. And Dupree says, I agree with you. News competing with other news, political events seem to be center stage right now with Donald J. Trump in office. Come on, Trump was in the center of the spotlight when he was in office in 2016, when he wasn't in office in 2020, and he's back in the spotlight, you know, and I'll say it out loud. I like Trump. I think he's been good to the country, but there's a lot of people that have not one kind thing to say about him, not one kind. They don't have anything kind to say about anybody. You know, and it's kind of like, well, can't we get past the nastiness and be like at least reasonable human beings to each other? And then Unar says, I should know because I'm half Icelandic. Oh, cool. And then Dupree is back saying, Dr. Rita, are you seeing with your site any big earthquakes hitting California later this year or 26? There seems to be some buzz around this. So I don't predict the future at all. And, you know, if I do get some kind of an insight, I don't share it because people get programmed and there's just a lot of crap. And there's just so much potential and so much variability that can happen day to day with these unseen forces that can come in and change the entire dynamic before 2026 happens, that what you may or may not say may or may not come into pass. And so, yeah, I don't predict. I don't do that. You know, I don't predict the future, and I don't talk about like dead people. I'll talk about ghosts, but not dead people. Let's see. And then Dupree's back. Yes, a lot of stuff. All of this stuff coming up is so dark. The cabal manipulating behind the scenes. I totally agree. You know, I was communicating with a friend of mine on Facebook, and she had posted something about demonic, you know, and I never really saw people as necessarily being evil. I really didn't see evil like in that context of the world. I thought that there were bad people and people that didn't really have their act together or were on a different track than me, but I never really saw evil. But I have incorporated that word more into my vocabulary because I don't know how to explain it. I mean, the only explanation that makes any sense to me with what's going on, and I've said this before, is that there's a group of reptilians living in underground bases controlling the government, and they're the ones that are calling the shots. Because how bad people are to each other and how evil they're treating each other goes beyond my understanding of morality and of being a human being, because it's like we're not being, our moral compass is totally lost. That's a good way of saying it. All right, guys, any last comments, or I am going to fly. Hi, Marco. Glad you could come. I'm Dr. Rita Louise. I have good hair today, kind of. But you're here, which means I need to go. So anyway, guys, again, if you would like to schedule a private consultation or would like to check out some of my articles, go to soulhealer.com. That's soulhealer.com. And I will talk to you next time. And so until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. Be blessed.